welcome to the PeakDay Podcast, where we discuss fertility and natural family planning with our friends. Today's guest is Sharon Drees. Sharon and her husband, Brian, learned the symptothermal method of natural family planning through Couple to Couple League's course in 2006. In 2014, she and Brian taught their first NFP class with Couple to Couple League. Brian and Sharon have 5 beautiful children, a sweet little 18-year-old dog, Maddie, a guinea pig, and 6 chickens. They are enjoying the busyness of Northern Kentucky family life and are thankful for the opportunity to share what they have received. Thank you so much, Sharon, for being our guest on the podcast today.
Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. So Brian and I, we've been teaching for 10 years now, and it's funny because we actually have a picture of when our materials came in the mail, and there is a picture of my husband like holding this up with me with a big smile on my face in the background. That was kind of our attitude. We were your typical, we had been raised Catholic, went to church on Sundays, but that was kind of the extent of our religion. It was an hour in mass on Sunday mornings. And so the religious aspect of and morality behind natural family planning and all the church was trying to teach us through these marriage prep courses was in our hearts. It wasn't all that important at that time. What was important to me was, okay, does this actually work? And I was attracted to the fact that this was totally natural. My mom grew up on a farm. Just this really deep love for the natural world and an appreciation for just how beautifully nature interacts within itself. So the whole natural portion of it was incredibly attractive to me. And before we started taking our classes through CCL, I read a book. I think it was by Tony Weschler, Taking Charge of Your Fertility, I think is what it was. So I wanted to get a non-Catholic viewpoint to say, okay, I wanted to see the science behind it and all of that. And so I already had that background going into these classes. And then we learned the method from this beautiful teaching couple that was just funny. The husband had been a farm veterinarian. So he would bring in analogies of like cows, which to us, it was funny. So anyway, and then they taught, they were very strong on the morality, which at times Brian and I kind of bristled at. But over time, like they ended up becoming very good friends with us as the years passed. And it took us a long time too. We were practicing natural family planning in our marriage after we had taken the class, but we were just kind of using it. We were using it. We weren't practicing it in the spirit of like a chaste marriage. We were using it to avoid pregnancy and living our own life the way we wanted. In addition to that, and so it took us some years to catch on to how beautiful the morality was behind it, and how practicing this method was changing us from the inside, really just by bringing us an awareness of the way that actions that were not in line with Catholic teaching were impacting us. So we had, through these classes, we kind of had a more precise, I guess, understanding and knowledge of, okay, this is what love is supposed to look like. Does our marriage look like this when we're not acting in line with what we're supposed to be? And so we were able to kind of pinpoint areas of trouble, and it transformed us over time to the point that we ended up becoming teachers ourselves.
So how important do you think it is for engaged couples to take a natural family planning course before they get married?
I think you're totally missing out if you don't. Like, I feel like it's, in my opinion, it's a great tragedy if you don't. Like, you're not, there's just so much to be learned in a natural family planning class. I mean, it's not just the morality. It's not just, the relationship aspect of it. And it's not just the health aspect. It's all of these things together, working in collaboration with each other, that really just help you as a couple to live life to the fullest. For the woman, if she's the only one that learns natural family planning and charting, so let's say it's not even natural family planning, it's just charting, she gains a wealth of information about her own body. She can see whether or not it's working properly. She can use that information to pinpoint trouble spots that perhaps she can change on her own just through simple dietary and lifestyle changes. So there's that aspect of it in terms of relationship. Um, so much in our culture is about instant gratification. We have a lot of confusion about what love actually is. And so you have to struggle a little bit with, so obviously part of natural family planning is abstaining during the fertile time if you are trying to postpone a pregnancy. And there's a lot of virtue that comes with having to wait during those times, and a lot of relationship things that can get worked out. At the end of the day, it's about respecting the way your body is made, respecting each other, listening to that call of whether or not you are being asked to have more children. Yeah, so it's endless. The list of benefits to it is endless.
So, what do you think in your 10 years of teaching experience is the thing that couples struggle the most with? Is there like a common struggle for couples learning natural family planning?
To be honest, I almost feel like the sense that I get is that the struggle is starting taking the class. I think there's kind of a lot of attitudes going into it, and what is this going to be like? And um, so once you get started, I think it's much easier. I do think that the actual learning how to chart properly, that can be a challenge for people for sure. Luckily, we have all kinds of tools now. We have the PeakDay app. Um, so those things are very, very helpful as well. But that would be it. Getting started and then, learning the actual charting. But all of those things can be overcome. And we have, the teachers with the Couple to Couple League, we're there to help you through every step of the journey. We have the Fertility Science Institute now where you can get coaching if you're having trouble.
So you mentioned the PeakDay app.
Mhm.
That is an updated app for Couple League from their previous app, Cycle Pro Go.
Yeah.
Tell me about your experience with learning to use the app yourself, and then showing couples how to use the PeakDay app.
I love the PeakDay app. I think it's great. It's super user friendly.
Was it difficult to incorporate the new app into your classes when you were teaching?
I think it was seamless, and I think it does make it easier for couples to learn. Um, and I think it provides them with something too to say, "Wow, look how easy this is." And we can use it as a teaching tool as well, because sometimes Peak Day will interpret things differently than we would interpret it as individuals. So I am a firm believer that it's important for us to understand for ourselves what's going on inside of our bodies. Like, you don't want to 100% just rely on an app to tell you what's going on, right? Like, that knowledge for you, uh, it just improves your life. But I think one of the best things is it just gives people confidence too. Like, okay, this is easier, and I have this thing here, so when I'm not understanding things, I can at least fall back on something immediately too. Like, you don't have to wait for a teaching couple to get back to you or whatever. So yeah, that's fantastic.
But you would recommend that a couple who is using the Peak Day app also take a course.
Absolutely. I think that's critical. I think that if you don't have any knowledge of, uh, if you don't have any knowledge of what you're looking at, or I think it might be interesting for you. I think it might be neat for you to be able to see it. But again, um, you just, in order to have that confidence, and in order for you to really understand what's going on, it is important to take that class, to take the time, and it's so worth it. It is worth your time to do that.
If a young woman hasn't had any education about her fertility and didn't learn about it early, is it too late for her by the time she's an adult, a young adult?
Oh, it is never, ever, ever too late. The human body is amazing, even if there are issues that have been unresolved, because one of the problems with the pill too is that it masks underlying issues, right? Like, so if you are on the pill because of medical reasons, which that is one of the reasons the pill is prescribed as well. It doesn't heal you, right? It doesn't get at the underlying issue. Um, and so uh, there can be things that go on for years that maybe could have been healed earlier. However, again, our bodies are amazing. They have the ability to heal themselves even later in life. Um, and it's never ever too late to make healthier option, to take healthier steps in your life. So no, never too late.
Fertility Science Institute is Couple to Couple League's new outreach initiative. Can you tell us about that and why you're so excited about it?
Sure. So Brian and I had been teaching with the Couple to Couple League for 10 years, and the way that those classes are set up, it's couple to couple, right? So my husband and I work together to teach other couples who are getting engaged, who are engaged, primarily getting ready to get married. And it's mostly geared towards a Catholic audience. The Fertility Science Institute is um, basically one-on-one coaching. So, or women helping couples as well, or coaches helping couples, because we do have a few male coaches as well. The people that it helps are people who are struggling with fertility or having reproductive health issues. So it's really geared towards those people who struggle with it. So that's great too, to be able to help people who are really feeling those challenges.
Fertility Science Institute has a directory of healthcare professionals. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So that is one of the most exciting developments, I think, between CCL and FSI, because previously teaching the Couple to Couple League classes, there were a lot of times where I felt helpless. I could see that women had issues with their cycles, and it went beyond what they could do through nutrition and dietary changes and lifestyle changes. Like, they needed to see a physician. But in our area, there's not a lot of physicians who are going to take the time to look at a chart, or who are trained in that, that can give them alternative therapies, treatments besides just the pill. So it was like, I'm teaching them these wonderful things, but then when there's a problem, there's nowhere for them to go medically, right? So the Fertility Science Institute offers this whole directory of physicians who are trained in reading charts, who are trained in offering these alternative treatments that are super healthy. And luckily, with the technology that we have too, because the technology has just exploded, allowing people to meet with doctors online. Obviously, there's going to be times when you need to physically go in and see a doctor, but if you have a chart, you can share that with the doctor who's far away. They can give you, they can still prescribe things for you or give you advice or whatever. So very encouraging development.
Well, thank you, Sharon, for being on the PeakDay podcast with us today.